Yeah, so in all the years I've been in finance, and we're talking over 25 years, and you build financial plans for clients, and you'd be talking about NS&I as part of that puzzle of solutions of where they could put their money, so they could put it in potentially things like premium bonds, but the other products that they have, for example, they have something called a guaranteed growth bond, and the return they would get. And the thing was that the return that they could get was pretty dismal. And the real benefit of the product was the FSCS protection part. So there is no FSCS protection, the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, with these products because they are 100% backed by the government. So you won't lose your money. Unlike a bank, if a bank goes bust, you have to make sure you are covered by the FSCS for up to £85,000 per person per financial institution. And then you would get that money back if the company went bust. NS&I, you are 100% backed by government. So that was the attraction, but the rates were so poor. And so when you look at them, it's like, yeah, okay, NS&I it's there, but it's nothing to get excited about. Well, I'm getting excited about them now because of this latest trend in their interest rates and making their products market leading and competitive. Now, this is deliberate because, as we know, there has been a lot of headlines about banks not passing on interest rate rises that have occurred. So when the Bank of England pushed the base rate up, we've not necessarily seen that reflected in the savings rates that you can get at banks and building societies. But NS&I have now started to push up the rates on their own products, which is therefore in turn putting pressure on the banks and building societies out there to push their rates up. So it's basically increasing competition. And what happened this week, which is one of the reasons I want to talk about on the podcast, because I do think it's quite exciting, is that NS&I announced an increase to the rate on their 1 year fixed rate guaranteed growth bond and their fixed rate guaranteed income bond that they've brought to market now. And so you can get 6.2% gross on a 1 year fixed rate guaranteed growth bond. That is the best rate out there for 1 year fixed rate. Now, there are some 2 year, 3 and 5 year fixed rate bonds that they've got that pay 5.8% for 2 year, 3 year, and the 5.5%, these are gross numbers I'm quoting, for the 5 year, but you have to be an existing customer, which is a key thing. So if you had a bond that was maturing, you could then use your money and put them into the 2, 3 and 5. But if you're a new customer who perhaps has listened to this or read about it, getting excited, you've got the option of the 1 year. Now, as I said, that is the best rate. 6.2% gross is exciting. It is taxable, of course. But the thing that, for me, that I think is exciting, and a lot of people out there who may have come into some money, maybe it was a life event, maybe they got divorced, they may have had inheritance, maybe they took a lump sum from their pension, who could be sitting on sums of money, but they are mindful of the Financial Services Compensation Scheme limits. So you might have a few £100,000. You'd have to start trying to split it around different institutions to make sure you're protected. You can put in up to £1 million into one of these bonds. And so you could, if you had the money, put £1 million into this 1 year fixed rate guaranteed growth bond, get 6.2% gross, which is 100% secure because it's backed by the UK government, and that return is guaranteed for 1 year. Of course, after that period of time, we don't know where interest rates will be, but there are other options that you can have and you can shop around. But it does solve a problem for people when it's talking about the FSCS. I'm quite excited about it because it's rare that you get that perfect alignment of things where you can get a good return and your money is protected. Like I said, NS&I products in the past haven't been that attractive. They do have other products out there. They do have an instant access or easy access account that you can use. It doesn't provide as good an interest rate, but the guaranteed bonds are interesting. We'll put a link in the show notes so people can read more about them. So as mentioned earlier, the interest that you earn from a guaranteed bond is taxable. So if you're putting a large sum in, you've got to be mindful of that. You can actually open these products jointly, which is quite interesting. So you might have to manage your funds with you and your partner, for example, if you are married. You obviously have your personal savings allowance of up to £1,000. I'll put a link in the notes of this video to where we've talked about on the podcast in the past, and an explanation on the Money to Masses website. So I'm not going to go into it now about the personal savings allowance, but regular listeners will know how that works. But you can also earn up to an additional £5,000 a year of interest tax-free via the starting savings rate allowance, and that is based upon how much you earn. And if you earn under £12,570, it means you potentially can earn up to £6,000 a year interest without paying any tax. We'll put a link to an explanation of that in the notes of this podcast. I also thought it was interesting to bring to the pod because I think there are a lot of people out there who have largely dismissed NS&I, and now they're offering these market leading rates. They even offer the green bond, which we've touched upon in the past on the podcast, but the rate now is 5.7%, and it's a 3-year product, so 5.7% a year, and that will make sure that any money that you invest in that or put in that product is used for green things. So let's say, for example, clean energy or stuff like that. So that is something to look at as well, and I'll put a link to that in the notes too.